What's up, y'all? We are back. This is episode 22, I think, of the Miami Marlins Out of the Park Baseball 25 series. We are here. Just wrapped up our second World Series in the save. I think we've been going for 9 years now. So we started in 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This will be entering our 9th season. And it's been a really, really solid run. We've missed the playoffs a few times and everything, but we did make the playoffs in our second year and our third year. Missed 2 years in a row after that with 77, 85 records both years. And then, 86 and 76. We wound up making the playoffs. Didn't do much that year, I don't think. Missed the playoffs last year, and then a 110-win season, which was just, our first 90-win season, our first 100-win season, obviously our first 110-win season. Wound up surviving and winning the World Series without, our entire outfield essentially, outside of Corbin Carroll. That's our second title. We won 2026 as well, 2031. So honestly, pretty well spaced out. Like this has been a slow build to get to this point. 2026, we definitely overachieved that year. And it's kind of shown by the next, 2, even 4 seasons, you could say. We kind of won in 2029 just by default. Our division was so bad. In 2030, we fell back down to earth and didn't make the playoffs or anything. So, it's been a long build up to get to this point. But now we're kind of in I guess you could say, the heart of this save, and where things can really start to take off for us. We built up an incredible core of young players, mixed with some veterans as well. We still got Yuri Perez, one of the original guys here. Jazz is still hanging around from when we first started the save. Jorge Mercedes is the guy in our system originally, so I guess he's still hanging around. But, Jazz and Yuri are the guys who have been here through it all. So they have 2 rings to speak of for that. Jazz has got 1 more year left on the deal. He played really, really well last year, especially toward the end. And was a valuable piece in the playoffs. He wasn't great or anything. They wound up getting hurt in the World Series. That was the NLCS. He got hurt. So, he'll be back to finish out his contract here. I'm not sure about after that. Yeah, he still wants big. I feel like we keep giving him the same contract. But, he's been a core member of this team. He's gone through ups and downs throughout the series, but, his highs have been really good. Like, his 2029 season was incredible. Even though he missed some time, still put up 32 bombs in 120 games. Last year was, minus the defense, maybe his best overall season, in my opinion. The walk rates come back up, career high 9.6 walk percentage. Strikeout rate right in line of his career averages and everything. And still stealing some bases. So still a very useful piece. Just cannot figure out how to play left field for some reason. He could maybe move back to right. We have a hole there. So let's just put Jazz in right for now. He was so much better out in right for whatever reason. Corbin Carroll, it was a great, not even great, just spectacular 1 season in Miami. We signed him to such a winner of a contract, 1 year, $21 million. The player option that maybe in hindsight shouldn't have given him. But, I didn't realize that he would stay remarkably healthy all season and put up these, a 9-win season after, a couple disappointing years ravaged by injuries in Arizona. But, it doesn't even matter. Like, we won a World Series with this dude. Like, I'm totally happy with what he brought to us. We got him basically for nothing. And one of the best contract signings you'll ever have. He'll hit the market. I can't afford him right now. So, and he's 31, a wrecked guy. Like, we had to really micromanage him to keep him healthy. And then he even broke down toward the end of the playoffs. Had to exit that World Series Game 7 with an injury. So, he was awesome in the playoffs too. Like, really just everything I could have asked for in that signing. So, we've had some misses, but that was definitely a hit. But anyway, he'll be out. We're going to bring back most of the squad besides that. Jacob Berry's been a long time first baseman for us, pretty much since the start, 2025 season. He won the World Series with us in 2026. Then had 3 really, really good years. Unfortunately, after this injury in 2029, he's not been the same player. He wants some decent money out of the market, so I'm going to let him hit that. Probably won't bring him back. Just really not worth it for us at this point. With kind of, we're not strapped for cash at the moment, but we got to be smart with our money and who we give it out to, especially, we got Royce Lewis on this big contract. He's been worth it, but, it's just something to keep in mind. Maybe in hindsight, if I knew I was going to get Corbin Carroll, I would have, not re-signed Royce Lewis, but he's totally been worth it. 4.64 season, walked 12.5% of the time. He'll be back for sure. So, we're really, really kind of my plan for next season. I'm truly banking on Luis Rosado improving this offseason and, being our second baseman next year because Jesus Flores can play second base. I'd much prefer to have him at third, or I don't know. Maybe we'll figure out this infield when it comes, but Travis Bazzano was really good for us too. Had a really nice playoff series. He was big in this Game 6 win. Game 7, he had a double, 763 OPS in the postseason. So he'll be back. I don't really love his defense at second base, but I'm going to try him at first base and see if he can bring enough offense over there to justify playing that position. So I guess we don't really need Rosado. He can come in and be a super utility guy, playing around the infield, spelling Flores a couple times a week. Lewis when he needs a break, and Herrera whenever he needs a day off. So that's the plan with the infield. The infield's set. You may be asking about Luke Adams. He's due to make $7 million this year, or sorry, 6. The career numbers are not really impressive. He's about been replacement level throughout his career, 91 WRC+. He's 27. He's been injury prone. He was healthy in 2030, but he missed a lot of time. In a couple seasons that he was with us. It hasn't been crazy injuries or anything, but he just really hasn't justified $6 million price tag. So I have a trade lined up for that. Emmanuel Valdez, who was a real superstar for us in the postseason. He was our best hitter. He was incredible on that playoff run. Really, without him, there's no way we would have won the World Series. He had 2 home runs, 3 RBIs in this one. That was able to propel us to the series victory against the Mets. And he was awesome. But it was fueled by a 348 BABIP. And I think it's a good time to sell high on him. He has 1 year left until free agency. He's only making $2 million, so I would totally bring him back. But this is a good time to sell high on a guy I think probably can't repeat the season that he had. As tough as it's going to be to do because he was awesome. But we have Luis Cova who's going to fill in as our backup outfielder. He was really good. We're going to have Rafaela back for another season. Although another guy could be a trade candidate. He's not on a crazy deal or anything. He's got 2 years left, team option, basically a 1 year, $9 million deal. If we don't pick up that option, which is totally cool for a true super utility guy like Rafaela. He's coming off a good season. I just probably played a little too much infield. We still got Sebastian Norman here, who I still have hopes for as a corner guy. He really hasn't provided much in the majors yet, but I think there's a spot for him on this team. I think he has he has 1 option year left, so we can make a decision after next year. Brad Sonneborn played decently well down the stretch. The numbers aren't impressive or anything, but I still like his upside overall. Also, we had to hire a new scout. So I have scouting reports on all these guys. Same with the sources. Maybe he can come in and be a DH and replace what Emmanuel Valdez gave us last year. Anordo Watkins, we'll talk about him in a second, but I'm going to, he dealt with 4 different injuries this season. So I'm sending him to the lab for his durability, basically. Chad Rogers will be back at catcher. Campusano is a free agent, but I have a deal lined up to kind of solve a lot of these issues. So let's go to the pitching really quick, then we'll get to that deal. So we're bringing back our top three: Perez, DeCaro, Spiegel. Those guys were all awesome for us last year. Joey Breen was really good in a small sample. He made 16 starts. I guess he started half the year for us with a couple of different injuries we dealt with, but he walked 5 guys per 9. We're also sending him to the lab to work on his control. We'll also get to that in a minute. Then Ethan Wheeler is going to have the first crack at this 5th starter spot. He had a really good season in relief. We're also sending him to the lab to work on his control. I think he'd be a good 5-starter this season for us. So these are all of the pitchers we're losing this offseason, which is, a lot of names that have been on this team for a while. Braxton Garrett had a really, really good season for us. His price tag isn't crazy, and I would consider bringing him back, but he's 34 with injury issues. I think it's kind of far-fetched to think that he would be able to replicate this season at age 35 with the injury history. DL Hall, who we picked up in the offseason, or picked up at the deadline, unfortunately tore his labrum 3 starts into his tenure here. He wants a big contract. He's 33 with the torn labrum. I am not going to bring him back at that price, but there's maybe a chance for a reunion if he slips through the cracks. He would be back by like June, July-ish. Casey Mize, he'll hit free agency. Don't really have any interest in bringing him back, at that price tag maybe. But he's fragile. Had a really, really bad season. Joe Boyle, he had a funny career with us. We traded for him really early in the save. What was that trade? We traded Alex Lang, Mick Abel, and Luis Amaya. That was a different trade. Okay, the original one is Jose Devers. We sent to, the Athletics. How do you turn out? He's an 82 career WRC plus guy. Had a couple good years in here, including last season for St. Louis. But we dealt him originally. He didn't really work out, so we flipped him for Alex Lang. That's what this deal was. Mick Abel and Luis Amaya. Mick Abel now in Philly had a pretty decent year numbers-wise and was good in Cleveland the year before. Just didn't really work out for us, though. But anyway, he came back. We signed him to a minor league deal. And then he wound up making, I don't know if he made the team out of spring training. He spent a full year in the minors in 2029. It was awesome. Made the opening day roster in 2030. That's what it was. Had a great year. And then last year was a little bit injury riddled. But he was okay. But he'll hit free agency. Brian Abreu was incredible for us on the postseason run. He's going to hit free agency as well. I'm not sure what kind of a deal he wants. Yeah, he wants a little bit of money. It's not crazy, though, for the production that he gave us in a half a season. Kyle Harrison was okay for us for most of the year. He'll hit free agency. He wants a multi-year $10 million deal. Jesus Luzardo, we're going to say goodbye to him finally. After having a good first half and then fell apart in the second half. But, he had a really good career for us. We started here. He had this great season. Never really lived up to the contract that we gave him originally. But was a really quality, number 3 starter for us. But he'll hit the open market, maybe a minor league deal guy. So that leaves us with this crop of relievers, and we were able to piece it together last year, and I think we'll probably do the same thing this year. We got Jorge Mercedes still here for one more year. You got Dominic Fritton, who's been a mainstay in the bullpen. Jason Flores had a decent year for us last year, spending most of the time in the majors. Dan Peacher, who was a former 7th-round pick as a reliever, finally up here. He was added to the 40, but just didn't pitch well enough to justify being called up. He will factor into the bullpen most likely. Kalen Wallace had a good year overall last season, so he'll be back. And Conrad Kaysen, a former 2nd-round pick back in 2024, drafted him as a two-way guy. Just never really developed as a hitter. He doesn't have horrible ratings considering I stopped using him as a two-way guy. Just didn't pitch much last year. I'm not sure what my manager down there was doing. I don't think he was hurt, but He has 50 overall, 50 potential. The ratings look okay, so he could be up and down next season. We have Kalen Dygert coming back. He was good down the stretch for us. We'll get to that in a second. 12 innings was fine. Gave up a few too many home runs. Does he have options? He has one option year left, so we can keep him around. And then Eric Wheeler, another guy. We got him in trade with Chicago 2 seasons ago. Split time between the majors and minors last year. Has another option year. Another guy we can make a decision on after next season. But they'll stick around for this season at least. So that's the pitching. Let's go to the lab that I've alluded to. Nordo Watkins, again, dealt with a lot of injuries. We're sending him for strength and conditioning. Hopefully he can get the injuries under control and play a full season. Put up 7.5 awards at 97 games. Just absurd. You pull that out to a full season, he's like a 12-win player. Or, 11-win player. Jesus Flores, we're going to send him try to generate some bat speed for like the 3rd consecutive year. He's only at a 30 power. Didn't hit a single home run for us last year. Still needs to develop the rest of his game. And I'm a little bit nervous. He's age 24 now, deep 24. This potential is still high, but he's running out of time to develop. But try to generate some bat speed for him. Joey Breen mentioned we want to improve his control, try to be an adequate starter. Ethan Wheeler's pretty much same story. Luis Rosado, just want to improve his discipline. If he could walk a good amount and play good defense and, be an adequate bat, he could be a useful player. Then kind of the grab bag of draftees. So Alan Featherstone was a first round 19th overall last year. The control has been lacking behind everything else. So we're going to try to improve his control. Sean Witherspoon, looking really, really solid. He only throws 91, 93, so we're going to try to improve his velocity. But he's definitely on a good track to reach the majors next season. Then Jared Fisher, a guy who actually boosted up his potential. Stuff went up to 75, movement potential went up to 50, control went up to 65 in the latest scouting report. But his issue when we drafted him was the fragility. 2nd round pick, 69th overall. So we're going to try to improve his strength and conditioning as well and try to get rid of that fragileness in his game, and hopefully he can develop. So that's the lab for the offseason. And let's get to the trade that I was discussing earlier. So it's with the Mets. So it'd be Emmanuel Valdez, who, we talked about him pretty much at length. Had a great postseason, really good season overall. But we're going to sell high on him due to the BABIP and kind of a regression candidate. And Luke Adams, a longtime player for us. We traded for him in the Tanner Scott trade, who finally fell apart after so many good years from Milwaukee. They made out really well in this trade. He was a elite reliever for them for 6.5 seasons, and truly elite. And then just fell apart at the end, but that's kind of what happens. He retired. GC Tarquois and then Jorge Caballero, all these guys have retired at this point. Bradley Blaylock, we got Tobias Myers, who looks like he pitched okay last year in the majors for Atlanta. He's carved out a role for himself. And then Wes Clark, I'm actually really curious how he turned out. He's been in AAA for 3 seasons. He just can't hit in the majors. That's always been his issue. So anyway, we got him in that trade. He's a fine player, but he's making too much money to justify his spot on the roster at this point. Then we're going to have Dan Rogan, an 18th round pick that I was really intrigued by. As a high floor high school guy or college guy, but just nothing besides contact. And, he's hit mostly in the minors. Just kind of taking up a spot now in my team for other guys that I want to have play. And then David Aguilar, who we're capitalizing off a good season in AA last year. And in return, we're going to pick up a guy that I was eyeing down in the playoffs last year, Hagen Smith. So coming off a really rough season for the Mets. He's had a long career for them, and it's been a mixed results kind of career The FIP and the ERA both like slightly below average. 5-win player in 5-ish seasons. So we're gonna pick him up. He'll compete for that 5th starter spot. But worst case, he can be a really good reliever for us. And he has a $7 million price tag, which they're going to chip in cash to cover that upcoming contract. And then Dion Cole, really, solid, maybe 5th outfielder, 4th outfielder in the future. Has some decent hitting ratings, really good outfield defender. He's a leader. Didn't hit too well in AAA last year, but he's only 23. A guy that I really like. And then Alejandro Gadia, a catching prospect that I really like. 23 years old, does have avoid K issues, but some power, good defense. He's a leader, high work ethic, all stuff that I like. And played well in AA and A-ball last year. Put up 7 WAR in A-ball. He shouldn't have been there. He'll probably start the year as my backup catcher, unless someone else breaks through. They're also chipping in $7 million, like I said. That gives us a little bit more money to work with as we kind of shed $8 million for these guys combined, and they'll cover all of Hagen Smith's contract this season. So it's tough to give up Valdez and Adams to some extent, but Valdez is the tough one after he was so good for us in the playoffs. But hopefully he has a good career at the Mets. I don't like trading interdivision like this, especially with actually they're not in division anymore, never mind. But even in conference with the team that we played in the NLCS, kind of getting them a little bit better. But I think Hagen Smith's a good rebound guy that we can potentially make work, and then a couple good, young backup types. So we're going to make this trade and say goodbye to a couple key players for us. So that will add Smith and Cole to the team. Hagen Smith will compete for this 5th starter spot, like I said. We'll see. The home runs has been an issue for him in his career. You want to be under 1.5. He's kind of teetered that line. In his bad seasons, he's allowed more. In his good seasons, he's allowed less. So hopefully we can keep that under control in our park. So him, Ethan Wheeler, Jody Brain will compete for these 2 spots as it stands now. We will have to address some of this offense that we're losing with Carroll and Adams. But I think we're well positioned to do that. And we also have a couple guys coming through the system. Jody Watson, a former 4th-round pick, crushed in high A and AA last year. He could potentially win that right field spot. We'll see. But he's definitely in that competition. Benny Cavanaugh, a guy we got in a trade with the Yankees in 2029, played really well in AA, not so much in AAA, but will definitely have a shot to win that position. Tim Starkle, another guy that I really like, who can fight for a roster spot. Ted Hart, former 1st-round supplemental pick, played really well in high A, not so much in AA. He's probably a year or so away. Jacob Lombard, another guy who played well in high A and AA after we got him in a trade with Houston. That was for Jose Caballero. I don't even think I mentioned this trade. Caballero was playing in the minors for us, doing well, but I wanted to open up that spot. So we flipped him to Houston. He played a really good half season with them. It looks like, did he retire? Jeez. Okay. The retirements are really weird in this version of the game. Also, Jesus Teleka, 1st-round pick last season, 2030. Was flowing through the minors, didn't pitch that well in AAA last year, but he's also going to compete for that 5th starter spot. He might be, half a season away though. David Contreras, a guy that I was considering bringing to the lab, but he's a little bit farther away. He held his own enough in A-ball last year. Okay, so we're gonna go into the awards, and this could be we could have a bunch of winners. So I'm gonna go through this one by one. Carson Williams won a Gold Glove at shortstop for the Yankees. Not surprising. He wound up staying healthy, had a decent year, 6 wins, and then about a league average bat. Gold Glovers in the NL. Ethan Salas, God, I'd love to get my hands on him somehow, but holy crap. See, Luis Herrera wins at shortstop. It's a great sign. And no one else for us. Reliever of the year. I don't think we'll have anyone in the running for this. Mike Beatty for the Mariners and Caleb Green. Wow, only 3 guys got votes. Mitch King. Caleb Green, beast for the Padres. I just cited some staff here as those pop up. We have Silver Sluggers. No one too surprised. This guy's interesting. 333 average, 9 home runs. Wow. It's like a James Loney build. No power, but everything else is really good. I don't know why I said James Loney, but I'm sure there's a better comparison for a first baseman. Just a contact guy. Silver Sluggers in the NL. We have Luis Herrera, obviously. Corbin Carroll out in right field. If honestly, Watkins maybe could have competed for that if he played enough games. He definitely would have. But Riley Adams winds up winning in center field. And we have Rookie of the Year. Joe Back. We didn't have any key rookies. Charlie Pizzana signed a contract. Reliever of the Year, Skip Schumacher, who we do still have. I know I said I was going to get rid of him a few years ago, and I was like, I kind of want to bring him back. So I went to commissioner mode and just forced him to sign with us at whatever he wanted, of course. But okay, their scout reports are starting to file in, so yeah, he's a little bit nervous about Jesus Flores. I don't know if he's going to really work out. He was an early pick, right? He was 12th overall. I thought he had a high floor, but it's not really looking like that at this point. So Cy Young just came out. It's up here. Wow. Jacob Mazorski winds up winning. Okay, fair enough. I thought Yuri might have fought for that. He came in a clear second. Jackson Jobe third, Eric Spiegel, Jason DeCaro came in 5th and 6th, respectively. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. He struck out 13.5 guys per 9. Yeah, he led the league in WAR. It makes sense. Then Grayson Rodriguez, who's just a total beast, takes it in the AL. Oh, my God. He's had an incredible run these last 3 seasons. He's won, 4 Cy Youngs. But his last 3 years have been way better than his first Cy Young. Then we have MVP. Luis Herrera wins it officially. So Ethan Holiday in the AL, somehow with the White Sox. I guess they drafted him. He had a 6 season. Wow. This guy stole a first place vote, though. Castaneda. But Luis Herrera sweeps it unanimously. Corbin Carroll, second place, pretty much unanimously. Eduardo Watkins finishes 4th in 97 games. Oh, my God. Yeah, he might have won if he played a full season. That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, pretty obvious. Herrera was the choice there. Just going down the line. Yuri Perez got a couple of votes. Eric Spiegel got a couple of votes. And Jason DeCaro. So we have 3 pitchers. Wind up getting votes for MVP, including Herrera, Carroll, and Watkins. So 6 total guys. That's awesome. Oh, I also have to go to internationals. I'm pretty sure I skipped over that. So I'll do that off camera. We'll come back for free agency. Okay. Sorry. Can you turn this off? All right. So we're here at the Rule 5 draft. We've lost 4 guys so far. The only one that's really significant was Jaden Colburn. He was a, 7th round pick back in 2026. I had a feeling he was going to get drafted. His bat's okay. His defense is okay. Played really well in AA last season. I'm going to assume he gets returned to us, but I wouldn't count out that he sticks the year out with St. Louis. I feel like a lot of the guys we wound up losing get returned to us. Yumin Lin, not even a guy I was familiar with. I'd like to be getting. I decided to sign him to a minor league deal. Had a really good year in AAA. He gets picked by the Angels. Cutter Crawford, 35 years old, is selected by the Dodgers, and Frank Arteaga, a guy who I also figured would get drafted. He's 30 years old. Had a really nice season in AAA for us, but we're okay losing those guys. So there was one guy that stuck out to me, Mike Billingsley, who I would have taken. I was actually trying to get him from the Mets in that deal we did earlier in the offseason. They weren't budging. They wound up losing him in the Rule 5 draft, first overall, to the Giants. Jaden Kohler goes 3. Kohlenberg, goes 3, and then a bunch of guys get drafted. I noticed something like Arturo Tejada, 21 years old, like top 30 prospect. Like, why are you here? Exactly. I mean, are you joking? Like, some of the most absurd numbers I've ever seen for a minor leaguer. Here's a career 211 WRC plus in 3 years in the minors. I'm not sure why he was available. I'm not going to pick him, obviously. That'd be incredibly cheesy, but I mean, just ridiculous that they didn't protect him. But whatever. This guy, Lelament as well, 22-year-old, not a top prospect or anything, but still a really nice player. Didn't get protected by the Mets. Things are a little weird here in the year 2031. And this one is the most egregious of them all. I'm kind of intrigued to take him, but I'm not going to because he's 21 years old and a top 30 prospect. Like, it's just stupid. But I don't think I'm going to pick anyone here. I just wanted to update on kind of some really weird stuff going on here this late in the save. So, the Rule 5 was fine. I mean, they're still taking guys they probably shouldn't. Like, I wish, why is Cutter Crawford being taken as a 35-year-old? This doesn't really make any sense to me, but, like, he's a fine pitcher, but, this is I don't know, it's just a little unrealistic. That's the only thing. But besides that, I mean, the rest of the draft was okay. So we're going to skip our pick and just complete the drafts. So we made one free agent signing so far, and we lost Chase Silth too. Wow. So another decent reliever that I'm okay getting, losing in this. We'd like to be getting him. We signed to a minor league deal in 2030. So we have some contract offers out there. None as big as like Corbin Carroll. He's still out in the market, but has a big offer from the Yankees now. It was the Dodgers, but we're going for some more bargain bin hunting. Pete Crow Armstrong tore his PCL, in his knee. He wants a 2-year. Well, I offered him a 2-year, 9 per 18 million total. Justin Foscue, really interesting player. Didn't have a good season last year for LA. The BABIP was low, coming off 2 good seasons previously, and I really like his splits against lefties. So, and he's also good against righties. So maybe he'll be our full-time DH, first baseman. Could definitely be a great platoon partner for Travis Bazzana over there at first, or just be our DH. So we have offers out for them. Hunter Green, looking for a reunion with him after a mostly good 2030 season with us. Last year became a starter for St. Louis, wasn't very good. Went to Minnesota as a reliever, also not particularly good, but I still think he has tools. It's cheap enough, $2.2 million we offered him. Then we have a couple of other offers out for like Enrique Bradfield is a minor league guy, Randy Vasquez, just to fill out the minor league teams. So that's pretty much what we're working with right now. We have $10 million left to spend. I don't really want to go any more, just to actually keep money available for trades this year. We did lock in our ticket prices, $35 after the big World Series win. Our revenue has gone way up. Attendance, season tickets, all of that increased. So good stuff here in Miami. Our market size also improved to below average this offseason. We'd like to drop a little bit more in development, but we don't have a ton more money to give up here. Money will free up next season with Chisholm, Mercedes. It's $27 million combined there. But then Perez is a free agent after that, so I would like to work out another contract with him. We obviously have Luis Herrera. Jason DeCaro has 3 years left. Spiegel has 4. Herrera, obviously, on the big contract. And then this is the guy we signed, Quentin Lowe. He fractured his elbow off for 2 to 3 months. He'll be ready by spring training, opening day-ish. Had a good year for New York. We got him on a 1-year, $1.5 million deal. Really like this contract for this pitcher. It could be a high-leverage guy for us next year. The bullpen is a little thin, thinner than it's been in previous years. But one of Smith, Wheeler, Breen will probably be in the bullpen, pending any injuries, of course. But yeah, we're almost at the new year, so we'll come back. Hopefully a couple of these guys sign and we can fill out this lineup. All right, so we're back. Spring training starts in a few days, so just want to check in on how things are going so far this offseason. So made some signings, so we did wind up picking up Pete Crow Armstrong, 2 years, $9 million team option second year, so $900,000 buyout. So basically a 1-year deal for $10 million or 2 years for 18, depending on how he plays. He'll start in right field for us at the beginning of the season. We also picked up Carlos Correa on a 1-year, $3.5 million deal. He's out for 4 months. So you can expect like a July all-star break maybe return. Still a good player. Had a good season for Minnesota. Unfortunately, tore his PCL in his knee. He's wrecked, but still could be a useful player. If we had some injuries in the infield or something, or maybe some underperformance. So just kind of another depth piece. Again, he'll miss most of the season, but he could be back down the stretch. And then I think that's about it offensively. The pitching staff, it's a lot of what we had what we talked about last time. They wind up picking up Hunter Green. Let's see. I think that was about it for the pitching. We have some other guys down here who we added to the 40. Greg Palmer, Alexis Sedina, and Brexton Hoskins, who's a really highly valued player. He's 22 years old, former 14th round pick. Really good fastball, potential to have good slider, screwball, and sinker. Really good pitch mix. And Greg Palmer, a really high floor, probably a guy who'll bounce up and down for 3 seasons, and then maybe he gets cut after that, but we'll see. Alexis Sedina, who was a former top 10 prospect at one point. We talked about this. Yeah, he's number 7 in 2027. We signed him as an international guy in 2027. Gave him pretty hefty bonus, $5.23 million. It really hasn't worked out. I guess he's been okay, but he hasn't really developed the way I wanted him to. He's only 22, so there's still room for improvement, but he'll be a guy who's up and down in the bullpen this year. Maybe if we need a start, he can come in. But everything else is back as usual. So checking in on the lab. It's a mixed bag. 3 of our 8 guys are on track. Nordo Watkins, he was on track for a little bit, and then he's frustrated. 1 to 2 weeks left to try to turn that around. Jesus Flores, frustrated with bat speed again, but Joey Breen, Ethan Wheeler, improving their control. They are on track with about a week and a half left. Then Luis Rosado on track to improve his plate discipline. These other 3 guys are all frustrated. So we'll update as that comes along at mid spring training here. So this will be the team we run into the year next year with, and pending any injuries, we'll see how this goes. So we'll come back with the lab updates, maybe just at the end of spring training, or maybe we'll check in spring training. We'll see, but we'll be back at that point. One more thing, we did a quantity over quality approach here. There wasn't. I think we put out an offer for a guy, and then it kind of got driven up. There wasn't anything that I really liked, so we wanted to pick up a couple different guys. So David Herrera was the last guy we signed. Got him for $130,000. Really good relief prospect. Nelson Miranda, has some power upside. The bat might not play But we picked him up for $160,000. Let's see. Signed Jared Kelenic to a minor league deal. He was a guy I actually offered a major league deal, then scouted him. I didn't really like where the avoid K's was going, so we held off and then wound up signing him to a minor league deal. We could probably boost him up to the majors in a little bit. Okay, then we have Sergio Ibarra, another reliever prospect, a really good one. He wasn't too expensive either, $300,000. Then we have, these were kind of all spread out because I just kind of try to spend the money at the end. Alfredo Aguilar, I really like him. He's a leader, has high intelligence. He was $1.5 million, so he was one of our bigger signings. Juan Lozano, another guy I really like. Low work ethic, but good upside if he's able to reach it. $160,000 for him. Looks like DL Hall signed with the Reds. It's a risky play, but more power to him. I'm probably going to miss someone in here, but Alexis Rosario, another guy that I really liked. One of these guys, the big power, low void Ks. $1.3 million for him. We signed this guy, Luis Ferrero. Another guy that I really like. Good personality. Only $700,000. We had this guy, Daniel Mejinas, pitcher that I really like. And he wasn't terribly expensive, $1.2 million. And then Corbin Carroll wanted to go to the Rays. He had a couple different offers out there. Big contract, 6 years, 33 or 30-ish per. Big contract for him. Hopefully he can stay healthy for them. But we won't have to see him too much unless it's the World Series. Hall of Fame, Clayton Kershaw. This is the updates on kind of what's going on. Maybe I'll run through that eventually. And I think that's it. I thought we had a couple more guys, but I could have missed someone in going through the emails. But yeah, we'll come back with updates after spring training. All right, so player development update. We had 3 out of 8 successful. Lenore Watkins failed. Jesus Flores, no improvement as well. But Joey Breen, Ethan Wheeler, and Luis Rosado all improved. Wheeler and Breen was for control. Looks like Joey Breen didn't actually improve. He already reached his full potential. So we just got to hope for that control to tick up a little bit. Ethan Wheeler did improve his control though, to a 45. So it's definitely usable. Then Luis Rosado improved his plate discipline. He's up to a 55 potential, 45 current. Looking like he could be a legit player. And the rest of the guys are kind of dart throw minor leaguers. Did not improve in what they were sent for. So these are lineup threes, and these are the guys that we're trying out the rotation to see who kind of wins these 2 spots. These 3 guys are probably the mainstays, but anyone of Teleka who's really come along, he's looking awesome. Witherspoon, who was a first-round pick a couple years back, he's come a long way. And Jamie Casey, who has really emerged as a guy on my radar. Second-round pick, only a year or so ago. He flew through the minors. So yeah, that's that. We're gonna keep moving forward. We'll come back for probably opening day. All right, so we made it through spring. No additional injuries or anything. So this is how the opening day lineup will shape up. I guess we should just go to opening day at this point. So it's pretty much as expected. There wasn't too many surprises. I guess the rotation shaped out a certain way that I wasn't really expecting. And this could definitely change, of course, as we load into opening day here. I guess we just go through it. Yuri Perez, Jason DeCaro, Eric Spiegel, no doubt about those guys. Our owner wants to win it all this year. Okay, well, can't say that's crazy, but always tough to go back to back. So, yeah, we talked about the top 3. Ethan Wheeler had a spectacular spring, 1.8 ERA, just a bunch of really good starts. And with his improvements in the offseason, I'm hoping he can take the next step. He was really good as a reliever last year for us. let's hope he can, be a legit starter. And then Hagen Smith had a rough last start, but overall he was really good in spring. So he'll get the first crack at that fifth starter spot. That does push Joey Breen to the bullpen. I did not have a good spring. I'm concerned about the control, although it's actually not. It actually ticked up, I think, to a 45. Yeah, it did tick up to a 45 last scout report. But he'll start the year in the bullpen. Could definitely factor into this rotation if one of these guys struggles. We got Mercedes, Hunter Green, and the back end along with Breen, and then Caleb Wallace coming back. Got Dominic Fritton. He's Jason Flores and Quentin Lowe. He didn't have a very good spring, but a lot of that was just 2 bad games. And then Kalen Digert makes the team a really good spring. He will be our long man to start. Could also get some starts if we need him. The lineup are as follows. Check these out down below. We got Jimmy Crooks, Chad Rogers as our catchers. Jimmy Crooks, who signed to a minor league deal this offseason. Really good defender. He was actually really good for Pittsburgh last year. I'm kind of surprised we got him on a minor league deal, but he's 30 years old. He'll be a backup catcher to Chad Rogers. We got Travis Bazzana at first base. Justin Foskey will DH most of the time. We'll have Sebastian Norman coming in. Bazzana and Norman will platoon at first. Norman had a really good spring, so got to give him another shot, although he's really struggled in the majors I wouldn't call last year a cup of coffee, but the year before he definitely was. And then last year he wasn't very good, but yeah, he kind of is looking like a Luke Adams without the eye, and maybe a little bit better contact wise. Jesus Flores at second. Did not have a good spring, but we just got to throw him into the fire here, and hopefully he's good. He wasn't good at all for us last year, but he's good defensively still. And I really just wish that power would tick up because I feel like he'd be a really good player. Royce Lewis will be back at third, although his defense really fell off. So we might have to look at a move to first base, maybe even as early as this season. I don't even know if he's good enough to play third, but he'll start there this year. Luis Herrera will be at shortstop, of course. Brad Sonneborn made the team as our backup infielder. Wasn't very good last year when he came up, but we'll give him the first crack at it. A guy with major league experience at least. Then Chisholm, Watkins, and Pete Crow Armstrong in the outfield. So Dan Raphael will play, the backup super utility type of guy. If we need him in the infield, we'll use him. But he's a really good backup to have. His infield ratings are still good, so I play him at second. I play him at third. If maybe Royce Lewis needs to move to DH at some point this year. So that's just that's an overview of how the lineup's going to shake up to start. We did have a couple of standout performances of guys who didn't make the team. Jesus Toleka was incredible in spring. This was a minor league start, but he was lights out, 0.57 ERA during spring. I'm going to play some service time games with him to start, so maybe he'll make an appearance as early as May. But he was, he could have easily made the rotation. Luis Rosado will be down in AAA again. Sean Witherspoon, he will start the year in AAA as well. We're being aggressive with him. He kind of flew through the minors last year, went from high A and double A, pitched really well. So he'll start the year in AAA. Alexis Sedana, Jamie Casey. This AAA rotation is kind of sick. And then Jody Watson, another guy that I really like. Could make an appearance up in the majors if we have some injuries. Jared Kelenic did not make the team. Didn't have a good spring. But another option we have, Manny Cavanaugh as well. We have Deion Cole, Luis Kova. It's kind of an embarrassment of riches in the outfield in AAA. We're going to have to make some roster moves. I didn't really get that far. AA also has no players. So just a couple things I got to do before the season starts. I'm going to do that, and then we'll hop back for opening day. All right, so we're here for opening day. We will be starting in Arizona. Dylan Lesko on the mound for them in Game 1. They'll have Hunter Brown in Game 2 and Kevin Martin in Game 3. I feel like we played the Diamondbacks opening day every year because I remember us talking about these names before. So where did they get Lesko? I feel like I've gone through this before. Oh, this is Zach Gallen. Okay. Yep, definitely did that. So Game 1 of the season, we will be against Lesko. Yuri Perez on the mound for another opening day start. I don't know how many he has at this point, but let's do it. Game 1. We take it 7-3. Oh my goodness. Just offering minor league guys to try to fill out our minor league roster. I still like Nate George. He was actually a pick. We let him go. He just never could make it past AA, but I still like his defense and his personality. So we're trying to bring him back, fill out the AA roster. A bunch of these guys signed. But I'll take care of that after. I assume they probably all went to AA. Yep, we have 21 guys. Okay. And the pitching is set. Cool. A lot of these guys could probably go to AAA. Some older guys. Our AAA roster isn't exactly filled all the way. So we'll pull a couple of these guys up to the AAA team and let our manager deal with all that. 20 guys there, 23, whatever. We'll cut that down eventually, but I don't want to get through this series. 7-3 victory. Big day from Watkins. Foscue has 3 walks in his debut. Bazana has 2 walks. Yuri Perez, really good start. Jason Flores and Hunter Green. Looks like Flores got hurt. That's unfortunate. But game 2, we'll have Hunter Brown, Jason DeCaro. And going to load this up. And we win 5-2. Another big day for Watkins. Chisholm has a couple of RBIs. Lewis drives in a run. Yeah, his defense. Probably should move him to second base. That might be Flores is definitely good at third too. So that might be a move we do within the next month. But yeah, DeCaro was good. Breen, really good out of the bullpen. And then Jorge Mercedes closes it out. So looking for the sweep here. Eric Spiegel on the mound against Kevin Martin. We win 9-5. My goodness. Sure, whatever. Watkins, another big game, man. He's so good. Drives in 3 runs, 6 runs in the series. Royce Lewis, a big game, 4 hits, 2 RBIs, has a homer in each of the 3 games to start the year. Herrera, 2 hits. So yeah, big series from the offense. We win 11. Bases clearing double from Watkins, and Chisholm drew a walk. I don't know if that scored a run. Spiegel wasn't good, but Kalen Diger out of the pen, awesome. And then the rest of the bullpen, excellent. So we start 3-0. I hope we can do the same as we did last year, where we started like 20-2. But time will tell. We'll be back in May to discuss that. That'll be the end of this episode. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.